Hi everyone, this is Yoan and thank you so much for joining me today. In this episode, we're gonna make this super cute and functional wallet. This is the zip around wallet. Some of you requested this type of wallet design, so here is my take on that. The finished measurements are about 8 inch by 4.5 inch. There are 6 card slots in the interior. You can store up to 2 cards in each slot. There are also 2 compartments, perfect for cash or passport and boarding pass when you go traveling, a dividing zipper pocket, and on the center here you can put your cell phone, charger, earphone, and whatnot. It also comes with the touchable adjustable strap and wristlet strap, so you have the options on how you wish to carry the wallet. Alright guys, go get the PDF cutting instructions at YoanSewingStudio.com. I'll put the link somewhere in the description box down below as well. Please enjoy this tutorial, and without further ado, let's get started. First, we're gonna work on the card pockets. Let's prepare the card pocket panels. Fuse the wrong side with some lightweight interfacing. Center the position. Draw the folding lines on the wrong side of the card pocket panel. So you wanna start drawing from the top or the 2.5 inch line, just like shown on the diagram here. You can also find this in the pattern. We're gonna start folding from the bottom all the way to the top. So here I'm aligning my ruler with the first line from the bottom, or the 2 3/4 inch line. Fold this towards the top and then press. Open the fold. Fold the next line towards the bottom. You want to maintain the first folding line, which is now sitting on the right side, and then press. Now we're gonna fold the next line towards the top. So from here on, you pretty much wanna repeat the same sequence, alternating the folding and pressing direction until you get to the last line. And you should end up with 3 pleats. Now let's go to your sewing machine and top stitch all the pleat lines. With a disappearing fabric marker, you wanna draw a line right on the center. Simply measure 4 1/4 and then draw the straight line. And then stitch right on the center line. Then stitch the sides with about 1/8 inch seam allowance to hold the pleats in place. Trim off the bottom edges so that this card pocket panel will measure 4 1/4 inch tall. So you want to work the same for the second pocket panel. Lay the card pocket panel with the panel to right sides together and then stitch the top and the bottom edges with 1/4 inch seam allowance. Once you've done that, you want to press the seams open, turn the pocket panel right side out, and then press it again, and then top stitch along the top edges. Repeat the same to the second pocket panel. Now take panel 3, lay the card pocket panel on the right side, about 1 inch down from the top edges. Pin to secure this in place, and then stitch the sides and the bottom with about 1/8 inch seam allowance. And you should end up with something like this. Now on the opposite side, you want to attach the second card pocket panel exactly the same way. So the card pockets should end up facing the opposite way, just like shown here. Next, we're going to prepare the stabilizer for this wallet. So I'm using the Decovil Light. This is a fusible medium heavy weight stabilizer that is still pliable. We're going to apply this stabilizer on the wrong side of the panel 3. Center the position. Alright, the next one is pretty important. So when you fuse the stabilizer, make sure to leave the section at the center here, which is the gap between the 2 card pockets, unfused. It may be helpful to draw a couple of lines right on the center, about 1/2 inch, 3/4 inch gap, and then fuse one side at a time, leaving the center section unfused. We're doing this because later on we're gonna need to hand stitch the zipper pocket to the center part of the wallet interior, and it will be much easier to sew through one layer of fabric rather than with the stabilizer attached. Next, we're going to work on the zipper pocket. So you want to prepare the zipper. We're going to use regular all-purpose zipper. Trim the zipper so that the length will measure 7.5 inch long. For the zipper tabs, you want to cut 2 little rectangles. Fold the long sides in half and then position that on the edges of the zipper, aligning the raw edges of the zipper tab with the edges of the zipper. And then clip, and you want to repeat the same to the opposite side. Once everything is secured, stitch along the inner edges of the zipper tabs about 1/8 inch seam allowance. Once you've done that, trim off the excess fabric of the zipper tab so that it will be the same width as the zipper tape. To minimize the bulk, you want to trim off the edges of the zipper to about 1/4 inch away from the seam line. Now take panel 4 or the zipper pocket panel and lay that right side up. Apply some basting tape on the top edges of the fabric and then take the zipper and lay that right side down. Apply some basting tape on the top edges of the zipper and then grab another piece of panel 4 and lay that right side down. Finger press to secure everything and then stitch with 1/4 inch seam allowance. Once you've done that, you want to turn this to the right side, finger press the seams, and then top stitch. Now we're going to work on the other side of the zipper tape, so lay the third panel 4 right side up, and again apply some basting tape on the top edges. Lay the zipper panel right side down, apply some basting tape on the top edges of the zipper tape, and then take the fourth panel 4 and lay that right side down. Once everything is secured, sew this in place with 1/4 inch seam allowance. Now turn this to the right side, finger press the seams, and top stitch. Now fold this in half. The wrong sides should be touching each other and the zipper should be facing up right now. Secure with some clips and then stitch the sides with an 1/8 inch seam allowance. And then stitch the bottom also with an 1/8 inch seam allowance. Once you've done that, we're going to bind the bottom edges of this pocket panel. So take the binding strip, lay that right side down, just like so, and then stitch with 1/4 inch seam allowance. Press the seams towards the binding, just like shown here. Now let's flip this to the opposite side. Fold the raw edges of the binding towards the center so that it will be facing the bottom edges of the pocket, and then press. And then fold this towards the top one more time so that the binding will be hugging the raw edges of the pocket. And then press, secure with some clips, and then sew on the right side of the binding. You can either stitch in the ditch or stitch right by the edges of the seam line. And voila, the zipper pocket is done. Now we're going to work on the side panels. So you will need to cut 4 rectangles, 2 for each side. Lay one of the panel on the cutting mat. Here's the long side and this is the short side. Measure 1/2 inch from the side edges and then put a little mark at the bottom. The same goes for the opposite side. Position your ruler on an angle, so the lower part should be aligned with the 1/2 inch point mark and the upper part should be aligned with the top corner, just like shown here. And then cut with your rotary cutter. Now you want to repeat the same to the opposite side. So you want to do this to all 4 panels. Now take 2 panels and lay them right sides together. Pin them in place and then sew all around with 1/4 inch seam allowance, leaving about 1.5 inch of opening on one of the side edges. Clip all the corners and then turn this right side out. Poke the corners, fold the raw edges of the opening towards the wrong side, about 1/4 inch. And then press this. Once you've done that, top stitch the sides and the top edges. Now go to your ironing board, fold the side panel in half lengthwise, and then press. Fold the side edges towards the center fold. So the angled edges should be aligned with the center point. And then press. And you want to do the same with the opposite side. Press it real good and you should end up with something like this. Now let's fold this back and then use some clips to hold this for now, and you can set this aside and work the same for the other panel. If you wish to add the RFID blocking fabric, this is the time to do it. Place the RFID blocking fabric on the wrong side of the wallet interior. Center the position. As you can see here, the long sides of the fabric is cut a slight smaller to minimize the bulk around the side seams. Now let's clip to secure this in place and then stitch the short sides with an 1/8 inch seam allowance. Now we're gonna work on the wallet exterior. First, let's make the D-ring tabs. So you wanna cut 2 rectangles. As usual, you wanna fold and press this in a 1/4 and then stitch the long sides with an 1/8 inch seam allowance. Attach the D-ring and then position the D-ring tab on the right side of panel 6, about an inch away from the side edges. The raw edges of the D-ring tab should be align with the bottom edges of panel 6 and then clip. Repeat the same to the opposite side and then stitch the bottom edges with about 1/4 inch seam allowance to hold this in place. And there you go, guys. Now take panel 7 and you want to fuse the wrong side with some fusible woven interfacing. Lay panel 6 and panel 7 right sides together, just like that, and then stitch with 1/2 inch seam allowance. Press the seams towards panel 7, making sure that the D-ring tabs are facing the panel 6. Now go back to your sewing machine and top stitch. So your wallet exterior should look just like this. Now the side where the D-ring tabs are sitting will be the back side of the wallet and the opposite side will be the front side of the wallet. So if your fabric has directional print, please do a little bit of assessment before you sew your fabrics so that it will be properly displayed on your wallet. Next, we're going to create smooth curves on all 4 corners of the wallet. So grab a circle object. I'm using my thread spool here. Position that right on the corner edge of your wallet panel, just like that. And then use your fabric marker to draw the curve and then cut the curve with a pair of scissors. Repeat the same exact way for all the corners. And you want to do this for both the exterior and the interior as well. Alright guys, now that our wallet interior and exterior are ready to go, it's time to assemble them. So first we're going to prepare the zipper. So for this project you will need a 20-inch long zipper. I highly recommend to use metal zipper since nylon coil zipper tend to get kind of wavy for this technique. The width of my zipper tape is about 1 inch. Now if yours is a slight wider than this, you may need to increase the seam allowances. Perhaps just add 1/8 of an inch from what I call in this tutorial. Measure 1 inch from the start of the zipper and then put a little mark there. And then you want to measure 1 1/4 inch from the start of the zipper and then put a second mark on the zipper tape. The first one is the 1 inch mark and the second mark is the 1 1/4 inch mark. So you want to do this on both sides of the zipper tape, on the right side and on the wrong side of the zipper as well. Next, we're going to mark the center point of the long sides of the wallet. I simply measure 5 inch and then mark right on the edges. And we're going to do the same to the wrong side as well. Now we're gonna do the same on the wallet interior, but on the right side of the interior, you wanna draw a straight line on the center, of course using disappearing fabric marker. And this will be the place where we're gonna attach the zipper pocket later. And of course you wanna mark the center point on the wrong side as well. Next, we're gonna attach the zipper to the wallet exterior. First, you wanna unzip the zipper. Position the 1 inch point mark on the center point of the wallet exterior. So the right side of the zipper and the right side of the fabric should be touching each other at this point. We're gonna base the zipper with some pins. Start pinning from the center point and then continue on and make your way around. Using the smaller size pins may be much easier than using the larger size pins, so I recommend to use them if you happen to have them. As you get closer to the corner, you may want to snip the edges of the zipper tape a little bit, about 1/8 of an inch. This will help it to lay flat on the curved corner. So I'm not going to place too much pins on the corner, but it's very important to assess and make sure that the zipper will lay flat. And then I'm just going to pop a pin there. And there you go. Now let's continue pinning. And as you get to the other corner, you want to repeat the same way like before. So here I've already snipped the edges of my zipper tape so that it can lay flat right on the curve. Now let's continue pinning until we get to the center point. Alright, now I'm pinning right on the center point. So there should be a little bit of excess zipper. Now take your fabric marker and then measure 1/4 of an inch before the center point and then put a little mark there. And this is where you're gonna stop stitching later. Alright, so you wanna start sewing from the 1 1/4 inch point mark and then stop at the 1/4 of an inch point mark before the center point, and vice versa if you start from the opposite side. Here I position my needle right on the 1 1/4 inch point mark. The very first pin over there is where the center point is. Basically, you want to leave the center point alone on both sides. For this, we're going to use 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. Don't forget to backstitch to reinforce the beginning. And I'm using my zipper foot right now. As you get to the corner, you may want to slow down a little bit. Try your best to keep the zipper tape position. As you get to the corner, push the zipper teeth out of the way. Make sure they will not get caught by the needle. This may need a little bit of patience and a lot of maneuvering. Feel free to stop and readjust your fabric again so that everything will stay in place. Remember to stop 1/4 of an inch before the center point and then backstitch to reinforce it again, of course. Alright, so you should end up with something like this. Now we're gonna repeat the same for the opposite side. So get the previous zipper out of the way and then match the center point of the wallet with the 1 inch point mark of the zipper and then pin. Again, the right side of the zipper should be facing down. And make sure that your zipper isn't twisted. Alright, so again you want to pin all around and stop at the center point of the opposite of the zipper. And then mark 1/4 of an inch before the center point. Pretty much the same way like before with 1/8 of an inch of seam allowance. This time though, I started from the opposite side, which is from the end of the zipper. Start sewing 1/4 of an inch from the center point. Sew all around and stop at the 1 1/4 inch point mark, or pretty much 1/4 of an inch before the center point. Next, we're gonna sew the wallet interior. First, you wanna make sure that these zipper tails are facing out. On the wrong side of your wallet interior, you wanna add additional markings. So mark 1/4 of an inch from the center point on both sides, just like shown here. And the same goes for the opposite side as well. Start pinning from the 1/4 of an inch point mark and then make your way around. Of course, the right side of the exterior and the interior should be touching each other at this point. And just like before, we're gonna pin and sew one side at a time. Since I started pinning here from the side which gonna be the back side of my wallet, you know, where the D-ring tabs are sitting, I went ahead and leave an opening about 4 inches to turn the wallet right side out later. Now you can have the opening on either side of the wallet, but I kinda prefer at the back side. Start sewing from the 1/4 of an inch point mark, and this time we're gonna use 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. Just want to give you a heads up that this is going to be pretty bulky, so it may help if you increase the size of your needle. So I used the jean size needle for this, and you may also need to increase the stitch length. I increased my stitch length up to 3 mm for this, but each machine is different, so if you're not sure, you can do a little bit of testing beforehand. Now as you get to the corner here, again you want to make sure that the zipper teeth is out of the way to avoid your needle getting caught on them and breaking. Again guys, there is no reason to rush, so take your time, and if you need to, you can stop and readjust your fabric so that everything will be in place. So I'm going to stop sewing on the first opening mark and then continue sewing on the last opening mark all the way down to the 1/4 of an inch point mark before the center point. Alright guys, half of the battle is done. So if you wish to, you can take a peek on the right side, see how the corners looking like. I'm pretty happy with mine, so if you're happy with yours, let's turn this back to the wrong side and we're gonna tackle the other half of the wallet. So we're gonna pin this just like before, starting from the 1/4 of an inch point mark, pin all around and stop at the 1/4 of an inch point mark before the center point. Again, we're gonna start stitching 1/4 of an inch away from the center point where we put the mark, and then stitch all around. This time there is no opening, so you can continue stitching up to the opposite side, and of course stop 1/4 of an inch before the center point or where we put the mark. Now before we birth this wallet, We're gonna first make sure that the zipper pull at the end of the zipper here is facing towards the inside. So you wanna slip the zipper pull inside and then slide the zipper, push it towards the inside, just like so. Please don't forget to do this, otherwise you won't be able to close your wallet. And don't worry about the excess zippers here. They're all gonna be hidden underneath. Alright, the next step is optional, but I recommend you do this. Trim off the seam allowances of the long sides of the wallet, since there's quite a bit of bulk there with all the card pleats. So you want to trim one side at a time, just a little bit, about 1/8 of an inch. And of course you want to be cautious, do not cut through the stitches. And no need to trim off the short sides, since there isn't much bulk there and it will be much more manageable. Once you've done that, let's turn this wallet right side out through the opening hole. So do this gently so you won't rip any stitches. So it took me a little while to get everything out, so do not rush this process. So you want to neaten all the corners, make sure everything is looking nice and flat. Use a point turner or knitting needle or chopstick to take care of the corners. Just make sure not to poke a hole in it. There you go guys, I'm pretty happy with how my wallet looking like right now. So next you want to fold the raw edges from the opening hole towards the wrong side, about 1/4 of an inch, and then pin. Now before we top stitch this, you may go to your ironing board and then give this wallet a good pressing. Of course you want to be mindful with the hardware and the pins. Measure 4 inches from the top edges of the wallet and then mark it there, and then do the same to the opposite side as well. And then top stitch starting from the 4-inch point mark all around, and then stop also on the 4-inch point mark of the opposite side. When you start, no need to do the back stitching, but make sure to have enough thread tail, both the top and the bobbin. As you can see here, I'm using my walking foot. I highly recommend you use your walking foot. It will make your life much easier. I think I say this all the time. And I also use 3mm stitch length, and the needle is still the jeans needle. Now when you stop stitching, make sure also to leave long thread tails. Now let's take care of the tail thread here. So pull the front thread and then tie a knot there. Once you've done that, grab your hand sewing needle and then bury your needle in between the layer of the wallet. We're gonna work the exact same way for the opposite side of the wallet, and as you do the top stitching, you will simultaneously close the opening hole. And voila, the main body of the wallet is done. Now we're gonna work on attaching the zipper pocket and the side panels. First, we're gonna attach the side panels to the side edges of the zipper pocket. So let's remove all of these clips. Hold the side panel with the wider point facing up, and then insert the side edges of the zipper pocket into the center fold line there. So the side panel should be hugging the side edges of the pocket. Again guys, the wider part should be on the upper side and the narrower part should be on the lower side. Now let's clip to secure this in place, and once you've done that, stitch this in place with 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. So you should end up with something like this. Now let's repeat the same to the opposite side. Alright, now we're ready to attach this zipper pocket and the side panel to our wallet interior. For that, we're gonna do hand stitching. So prepare your hand stitching needle and thread. So first we're gonna attach the zipper pocket to the center point of the wallet, the one that we drew a line on earlier. So you want to position the bottom edges of the zipper right on the center line, and make sure that the start of the zipper pocket is facing the same direction as the start of the zipper closure. Center the position of the zipper pocket. It should be a slight shorter, so you should see about 1/4 of an inch gap on both sides. So let's start hand stitching to attach the bottom edges. I do slip stitching here, almost the same method as when we finish binding. Basically, you want to pick a small portion of the binding and then pull the thread through, and then pick the small portion of the wallet interior and pull the thread through, and you just want to alternate this until you get to the end. I recommend to reinforce your stitching when starting and when finishing, just like when you're back stitching when you sew with the sewing machine, so that your seams will not easily come undone in the beginning and in the end as well. Once you've sewn the bottom of the zipper pocket in place, it's time to attach the side panel. So first you want to make sure to align the top edges of the side panel with the top edges of the card pocket panel. Position the side panel about 1/8 of an inch away from the side edges, and then place a pin just to hold the top. Then you want to hand stitch starting from the top all the way to the bottom. Again guys, I'm gonna do simple slip stitching, and I highly recommend to reinforce the first 1/2 inch of the top edges so that it won't come undone. Alright guys, I am done sewing the one side of this panel. Now let's sew the other side. The same like before, you want to make sure that the top edges of the side panel is aligned with the top edges of the card pocket panel. And then pin to hold this temporarily, and then let's sew this in place. Alright guys, so your side panel should look just like this. Now let's work the opposite side exactly the same way. And there you have it guys, a zip around wallet made from scratch is done. Next, I want to quickly brief you about the straps. So this pattern called for 1/2 inch wide adjustable strap. So go ahead and make the strap just like the usual. Install all the hardwares. If you're new and you need a tutorial on how to make this adjustable strap, I will link a separate video. So check it out somewhere in the description box or in the pattern. And the same goes with the wristlet strap. If you need a tutorial on how to make it, I will link a separate video as well. Alright guys, now all you need to do is to attach the strap, the adjustable strap, or the wristlet strap. That's about it for today guys. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, goodbye!